here's Brody Brazil.
We've got news on two fronts for the Utah Hockey Club, and neither of those fronts are the actual Wasatch Front. You like what I did there, Salt Lake City? A little local knowledge for you, see? I'm catching on. I'm learning. The first front is the present. We'll talk about some of these logos that have been trademarked officially of what the branding is going to be for this upcoming season. And then later on in this video, we'll get to the 6 names that it's been narrowed down to as finalists for the future moniker of the franchise. So these logos are just 3 on your screen here of what I think is about 10 or 12 total, and they all kind of fall into this same theme of the font face right there. It's got that H with kind of the up slant right there as part of it. All of the similar looks here and depictions and colors, and it looks to me like they're going with dark blue and baby blue. I initially thought it was black and baby blue, but from the colors I can see here, it does appear to be a dark blue with the light blue as the contrast. But they've trademarked these logos. I don't know what exactly or how many of them they're going to use. You would think that with a generic named team, you really only want to have like one image or one look, but they're going to be making shirts and hoodies and hats and obviously jerseys. We'll get to that in just a second. So maybe some versatile yet similar looks that all fall under this theme. They don't have an official name or mascot. They obviously have to go with some colors here. They've done that, but these are the beginnings of what the logo and the name is going to look like for this upcoming season, which has been confirmed. You've heard about this naming contest. Well, it's going pretty quick. They went from 20 down to 6. Why couldn't they figure it out by the start of next hockey season? The problem is they can't make jerseys and merchandise and all that stuff fast enough by the hockey season. So this is how it's going to be starting next year. And that also leads me to believe that the concepts you saw on my channel here from a couple weeks ago, Chris at sportslogos.net put these together. I really feel like all of a sudden, all of this is super accurate. I mean, the font falls in line. We got a lot of stripes around the waist and around the elbows there. Obviously, stripes on the socks, and maybe some variation of this. Maybe these stripes here, instead of being down low, maybe they kind of fall with the font of Utah across the front. But I think it's obvious in what they're doing, keeping it simple, keeping it non-committal to too much, and that's a great thing, right? It's a temporary name. You don't want this to catch on. You want all of this to only eventually be a collector's item, something that was only made for 1 year, and if you have it, the value of it is super high. But I really think that's probably what things are going to look like. So that's the present, right? What the team might look and feel like starting this upcoming hockey season. Now let's get to the long-term future of naming of this NHL team in Utah and Salt Lake City. They're now down to 6 names. That has been confirmed. I know a couple days ago, Ryan Smith apparently called into the Pat McAfee show, said he had 4 names. It was only down to 4, and he could only really remember that it was Yeti and Mammoth and a couple others. Well, officially, it's been announced that they've gone from 20 down to 6 names. They say that 520,000 fans voted, unique fans voted, not one person voting 520,000 times. They really do feel like more than 500,000 people have already voted on this. They said that the final 6, which I'll unveil here in just a second, received about 60% of the total votes of 100%. Now, how much of that went to Yeti? Which one was widely more popular than the others? How about Venom and Outlaw and all that stuff? They're not mentioning that by any means. They're just saying, we have eliminated 14 and we're down to these final 6. Round 2 of voting is just the final 6. Now, I don't know if it's going to be eventually down to 3 or down to 2, but all we do know is that this next round is open until the 20th of June. So approximately 2 full weeks, depending on when you're watching this video, it's going to last. And then I would assume that probably right around the draft, right? June 27th, 28th, 29th, kind of around that weekend, we'll probably hear another update, and maybe it will be down to 3 or 4 or 2. Who knows? I really don't know the timing and the pacing of this process, and I'll explain why. That's kind of interesting here in just a second. They say, quote, we will announce details on the final steps in the name selection process in the coming months, right? So even if we find out that round 2 got us down to 4, we still won't know for the coming months of when we go from 4 to 2 to 1 or whatever. It is interesting timing, and I'll point this out. These are words of the Utah Hockey Club. That's what we'll call them for now. Quote, as a reminder, Utah's NHL franchise will don jerseys that display Utah during their upcoming inaugural season. Once the team name has been selected, SEG, Smith Entertainment Group, will work diligently to craft the team identity, including the logo, the mascot, and other branding elements, which will debut for the 2025-26 NHL season. That's all interesting because what if this process happens during the course of the 2024-25 season? What if it all concludes and culminates this season? Now you've got a team out there on the ice that you're calling the Utah Hockey Club, but by December of 2024, we know that they will be the Utah Yeti next year. How do you not instantly already start calling that team the Yeti? You know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to take this naming process and stretch it out even longer. Maybe you don't want this to be going down so quick. To go from 14 to 6 already is eliminating a lot of that noise. You're going to get down here pretty narrow pretty quick. I think they ought to take their time. You don't want to have two names going at the same time for a hockey team. And you know what? The final 6 actually includes the Utah Hockey Club, which I actually don't think is a bad name. If you want me to rank these, you know what? I will here for you in just a second. First, let me spell them out. Utah Hockey Club is in the final 6. Utah Outlaws is in the final 6. Venom, Mammoth, Blizzard, and Yeti all in the final 6. All right, let me rank them. I think the most popular one by far is Utah Yeti. It rolls off the tongue. I've been saying this for weeks. You can find this in prior videos. It just works for Utah. And I know there's the conflict between Colorado and their alternate logo of the Yeti foot here. I'll draw. Boy, that's a bad. It's kind of that logo, and then it has like kind of blue going the other way. Ooh, that's all so bad. I'm taking that off the screen. But I understand there is some conflict there. This is a league that already has a bunch of duplicates. The Knights, the Kings. I saw the hockey guy point this out. The Canadiens and the Canucks and the Maple Leafs. How Canadian can you get with the naming of those teams? And there are other duplicate names. I could go on and on. So to have the Yeti and to have that be kind of the alternate logo of the Avs, I don't think that's a big deal. I still think the Utah Yeti is number 1 for me. Number 2, I actually think is the Mammoth. If I'm going to rank these, I think that would be my number 2 choice. Utah Hockey Club would be number 3. Let me explain 2 and 3. There's just a lot you could do with Mammoth. It's unique. It sounds monumental. It's unused. I don't hear a lot of other pro teams, college teams out there called the Mammoth. I know there are some. And I know like Yeti is a drinkware and a cooler brand as well. Very well aware of that. I'm a happy customer. And I understand Utah Hockey Club to some might be generic, but I really like the name club. You know, it's not the Utah hockey team, like the Washington football team. There's something about club that just kind of makes it fit in a little bit more elegantly. So 1, 2, and 3, that's how it goes for me. I think after that, I'm probably going with the Venom at 4, the Blizzard at 5, even though I really don't like that one, and the Outlaws at 6. Blizzard at 5 because, I mean, now here we go again. You want to duplicate names? What's worse, taking the Yeti as an alternate logo or taking Blizzard to go right next to Avalanche? Like geographically, there's no team in between those two teams from Salt Lake City and Denver. The Outlaws have been used by, I looked this up, 12 other pro and minor league teams across North America, like lacrosse teams, and I think there's is there like a women's volleyball professional team called the Outlaws? I think there's an arena football team. Did I say that? There's so many versions of the Outlaws. There's way too many Outlaws. And Venom is fine if I didn't talk about that one enough. That one's probably the best of kind of the other theme. You could do a lot with snakes, and I don't know, it does sound a little bit vicious. It still sounds a little bit overused, but this right here is how I would rank the final 6 as they stand. So here are the ones that got eliminated. We should also spend some time talking about them. The Utah Powder? Drug references, anybody? The Utah Squall. I'm a weather guy. I really like weather. I think that's cool. It's the squall of the storm, but you had to explain too much. And then what's your mascot going to be? Utah Mountaineers. That actually wasn't bad. A little bit too long. I mean, look at all that text, right? It just kind of takes too much time. Utah Mountaineers. 3 syllables. I guess not too bad, but a lot of letters in there. Utah Hive. I think the Buzz might have been better. Utah Buzz. It is the Beehive State, but Hive didn't make it. Utah Freeze. I don't know. Utah Swarm. Okay, now we're going along with... See, that's one that I'm surprised didn't make it over Outlaws or even in there with Venom. Frost, again, what are you going to do for your logo, your image? Glaciers. You're slow and you melt. Caribou would have been fun. There's a lot you could do with Caribou, but it just didn't make it. Ice, too generic. Blast sounds like a kid's Little League team or a softball team. Utah Canyons. Okay. Fury. Not bad. That could have been in I think if they had gone from 14 down to 10, I think names like Fury and Swarm and Hive and Caribou probably should have been in there, but they weren't. And then the Utah Black Diamonds. I know you like skiing up there, but that's a little bit too specific. I don't know. So those are the ones that got eliminated. Here are my takeaways. And I've been saying this all along. Now that the process is actually and officially moving forward with logos and official names, this temporary name situation of the Utah Hockey Club, it was never optimal. But it's so necessary. Can you imagine the worst case scenario here is that the team moved from Phoenix to Salt Lake City. The Smith Group says, well, quick hurry, call them the Venom. And then 6 months, a year down the road, the logo just doesn't hit. It's not popular. People like the team, but you'll always reflect back on that. And then you have to change your logo and you think about changing your name in 3 to 5 years. And that's not good. And it makes something like, and I'll just use this from personal backstory here. It makes something like the San Jose Sharks even that much more special. They debuted with a name and an original logo, which quite honestly is still basically their logo. They only modernized it 15, almost 20 years ago, I guess. I'm losing track of the years and time. But the point is, a little less than 20 years ago. Yeah. But the point is that they've basically kept that same logo. It was so good from the debut that it still lasts here more than 30 total years later. And that's what the Utah hockey team is trying to do. Make something that survives the test of time. And I don't think with all they've got going on and changing the arena and trying to revitalize downtown and for better and worse and everything in between, kind of picking the name is important and you definitely can't rush this. So I do want to say that it was never, ever, ever optimal. But the fact that they're doing it this way, I'm critical of a lot of things, and this is not life and death, but I actually think that this is the absolute fine way to handle things, considering the timeline and considering what they are and are not capable of. I like the simplicity of that Utah logo, Utah Hockey Club logo, and the club name. That's always going to exist. And you know what they could do? They could, if they eventually get an AHL team, their affiliate, right? Because if the Tucson Roadrunners, which are their AHL affiliate for this year, if they ever become the AHL affiliate of the Arizona Coyotes 2.0 and Utah gets their own AHL affiliate, maybe they call it the Utah Hockey Club and they play in a suburb of Salt Lake City, outside the area to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe choosing that name is keeping it for something else down the road. But imagine just the collector's items you're going to have with that merchandise, Utah Hockey Club, or a Utah sweater that was only worn for one season. Those things are going to go like hotcakes. And I have a feeling that with Fanatics taking over the jerseys, they're going to keep making those for many months and years to come, even past year one. I don't think they're going to stop making those. But again, going back to the timing of the winning name being unveiled. Again, just think about it. If the winning name is unveiled in the course of next hockey season and you're like, well, the Utah Hockey Club plays tonight. Yeah, but we already know they're going to be called the Yeti next year. What would stop everybody from calling them the Yeti? So I appreciate the naming contest. It comes in a weird way. They probably should have waited. People are very excited about this. They should have just said Utah Hockey Club for right here, right now. They're almost doing the naming thing way too early. And now that they've cut it down from 14 to 6, way too early. Like, you had way too much dessert and you still didn't eat your dinner yet. You know, the stomach is too full for all this stuff. So we'll see how it goes. I know they've got a master plan behind all of this, and I'm sure that there is some strategy to it. I just can't figure out right now exactly what it is. Hey, you made it here to the end of this video. You know I really appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll help me and this channel and this video. And if you also wouldn't mind, if you don't already, go down there and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you back here on the channel, and I would definitely love to see you back here next time.